July 18, 2022 meeting of the Anderson County Board of Commissioners to order. We'll start with a prayer by Vice Chairman Vowell and the pledge by Commissioner Meade.
Heavenly Father, once again, we come to you and giving you honor and praise and thanking you, Lord, for everything you do for us each and every day. Lord, most of all, for our salvation. Please forgive us of our sins, times, Lord, that we fall short of your glory, times we miss the mark. Please cleanse us, Father, tonight. Make us worthy, God, to sit in these chairs to make the decisions, God, that affect your people. Fill us with your wisdom, your discernment. Let us always try to do what's right in your sight, for what's good for your people. In Jesus' holy name, amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we'll have approval and correction of the agendas, starting with we'll start with appearance of citizens. If there's anyone here that would like to address the county commission on an item that's not on the agenda, you can do so at this time. State your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes. Start with Commissioner Meade.
Yeah, my name is Steve Meade. I live at 104 Walton Lane, Oak Ridge, Tennessee. And even though I am a commissioner, I'm doing something now that really isn't part of the meeting or the agenda. I am on the Charter Commission. And as I've talked to people around the county over the last month or so, a lot of people are asking about it. The charter is in its final version. It is ready for approval probably at the meeting Wednesday night of the Charter Commission. It will be on the ballot in November. The commissioners primarily focused on what the people said they wanted, and that was changing the way government is operated as little as possible. However, there are some things that are required under a charter form of government that will require some new things. Most of the things are like, how is the charter updated? How is the charter, they make sure it stays up to date? Things like doing referendums. There are some things that are just part of having a charter form of government. One of the things that would be new is a thing about having resolutions for ordinances, which is not allowed under the current form, that would actually be advantageous to the county in a lot of ways. So that will probably be part of the charter that's on the ballot. But I just want to let you know that it is coming. It's been looked at a lot. There was a time when the Charter Commission recommended that we just don't do it. However, the courts ordered that there would be a charter form of government presented to the public for their approval or disapproval. And so that will be on the November ballot. And I just wanted to give you that minor update. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Meade. Questions or comments for Commissioner Meade? All right.
Raymond Mitchell from 148 North Hollywood Circle in Oak Ridge. I'm going to try this. I don't know how far I'll get. My dad passed away on the 24th. And first of all, I want to say thanks to Tracy and Commissioner McCamey for their condolences. But I called on the 23rd for EMS. Well, called 911 and fire department got there first. Then EMS showed up. The one guy, he jumped in with the fire department and was trying to work to save my dad. The other guy, he's running up and down the hall, all over the house, worried about a DNR. I told him, I said, if his heart stops, he don't want CPR. Told me that a long time ago. But he was just saying that hospice had all the rights over his medical treatment. Untrue. It's not true. I had that. And I said, I want him to go to the hospital, I want him to go to UT. Because he had been at the Nova North for a month. And he had gotten better, was sitting up in the bed, talking. When my buddy come over there, talked to him just like he had for always. All of a sudden, he got, they said, some infections. They put him on hospice, sent him home, and then he started choking. My biggest problem is EMS trying to tell me who had rights and who didn't have rights. That wasn't the concern at the time. The concern was doing something for my dad that was choking to death. And it was more than what it should have been. Fire department went out and got the stretcher, come in the house, put him on it, and took him to the ambulance. And, you know, it shouldn't have been that way. Shouldn't have been that way. And I trust, I hope, I'm praying that the mayor, the county law director, and Nathan Sweet does the right thing. Wait and see. But EMS needs help. They truly do. They need maybe a new director. But I just hope that none of y'all ever have to go through what I went through that day. Hardest thing I could have ever went through. Trying to argue with people that was there to save his life. And the report, y'all have a copy of it. The only thing that is right in that report that I can figure out, I mean, some of the stuff they've wrote, I don't really know about. They didn't start IV even. UT emergency room started the IV when he got to UT. So basically, I don't know what they did in the back, if anything. And it was just way too much. I was worried about him getting medical treatment. I wasn't worried about everything else. That was all I was concerned with. But like I say, the one jumped right in with the fire department, started work. The other one, I don't know what his problem was. Still don't know. Probably never will know. I hope so. I probably never will. Thank you.
Sorry for your loss, Mr. Mitchell.
Marcia Kelly Illingworth. Edgewood Heights, Lane, Claxton. And like a bad penny, here I am again with similar questions. We're awaiting reports on the HR investigation regarding the animal shelter employees and the status of when a vet is going to be appointed and when the cameras are going to be available. We've been told a couple of times that it was coming very shortly. So if there's something we could get information on that, we'd appreciate it.
Yes, I think that's going to be under old business, but I believe we'll get that added,
Okay,
moved
my
up in the
apologies.
agenda.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Not, we'll move on to the approval and correction, or, excuse me, Commissioner Wandell.
Address the agenda.
Oh, okay.
Is
Yeah.
that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to respectfully request we add our Tennessee County Commissioner Association Director, Mr. Charlie Curtis, to the agenda. If you wouldn't mind, I'd like to make it 4A. Charlie's got to drive back to his neck of the woods, and he's just got a short presentation that's well-deserved for some of the commissioners at this table here.
Any, what's that? Yes. Yeah.
I'd like to move there's no business item from the finance reports. I'd like to move that to the consent agenda.
Commissioner Val.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to move the Animal Shelter Advisory Committee discussion up to 5A, please.
Did we have something on the operations committee for that? Did we?
It's under the law director, I think.
Commissioner Fritz, did you have anything? No, not for consent. Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to move the operations committee up as far as we can get. We've got several people here.
We're on 6A.
6A would be
Is that
fine.
okay? Okay. Any other changes to the, well, I guess we're on, I guess that's on the regular agenda.
Yeah, we
I guess
kind of jumped around.
We kind of jumped around, but any other changes to the consent or the regular agenda? Do you have anything for the regular agenda? Okay, well, do we have a motion to approve the two agendas as corrected? We'll just take them both.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Wandell, or seconded by Commissioner Yeager. Any other discussion on the agendas? All right, let's go to the board and vote. Motion passes unanimously. All right, now we're through the agendas. We'll go to item 4A, TCCA Director Charlie Curtis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. Certainly an honor to be here tonight. I like watching your previous meeting. I told somebody I like to watch professionals operate. Y'all do a good job. I want to thank each one of you for your service to Anderson County and the state of Tennessee. I know a few of you are not running again, but I believe with all my heart the foundation that this state is sitting on is county government. If our counties do a wonderful job, then that means our state's going to be strong. If our counties are not doing a good job, our state cannot be strong. But y'all are the backbone of the whole thing, and I appreciate the work that each one of you do. What I'm here for tonight in particular is for longevity awards for 4 of your county commissioners. I think 3 of you are here. I see Jerry Creasy. I didn't see him tonight, but Chuck Fritz is not running again. He's got 20 years, as best I can calculate. And Jerry Creasy's got 32 years, Jerry White, 20, and Robert McCamey, 24 years on the county commission. I was just a kid when some of these people got elected. But the 3 that are here, if you would come down, I would certainly appreciate it. I'd like to get a picture as I give you these certificates. I'm gonna read one certificate, it'll pertain to all of them, except for the years. This one's for Chuck. He's the first one I had on the list, but this is in recognition of outstanding service and dedication to Anderson County Commission for serving for X amount of years. His happened to be 20 as a county commissioner. This certificate is an appreciation. It's presented with admiration and respect for your years of service. But if Chuck and Robert McCamey and Jerry White would come down, I'd like to present these to y'all, and we'll get a picture made right quick. If you don't feel like coming down here, I'll give it to you there. I won't accuse you of that. Chuck, I appreciate you, brother. Chuck was on the board when this organization hired me, and now he's leaving us. And he's done an outstanding job. Robert, appreciate you for your years of service. Will, yes, sir. Turn here. Jerry, appreciate you, brother. You're the mug shot, thank you. Mr. Chairman, I appreciate your time, and God bless each and every one of you.
Thank you. Have a safe trip home.
Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie.
You're welcome. I'm gonna miss you, girl. Good Lord willing, Steve will still be there to keep me straight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Safe travels, brother.
Next, we'll have the public hearing report. Vice Chairman Vowell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This evening, at the 6 o'clock agenda, we had a public hearing for the rezoning of the property located at 116 Llewellyn Hollow Lane in Clinton. There were no comments from the audience. We don't call it the zoning office anymore, do we? What do we call it now? Planning and Development. I'm sorry, I'll get that before long. Address the board, Mr. Chairman, with a few of the details that he had on the request. That was about it.
And Danny, all of the adjacent property owners were notified and everything. Nobody was here tonight, so you didn't have any calls or comments or anything?
They were notified, but no calls or comments.
Okay, thank you. A motion to approve by Commissioner Meade, seconded by Commissioner Yeager. Any discussion? Commissioner Wandell.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. You touched on it a little bit, but was the property posted as well?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Let's go to the board and vote. Oh, excuse me, Commissioner White.
I'd like to force to delay this until we heard from Gary Long to see if there's a problem with with those dump trucks coming out on Llewellyn Hollow Road. I think it's steep, it's close to the bridge, there's a lot of traffic on the main road there. I'd like to hear from Mr. Long before we vote on that. So I'll be voting no, but only because, I don't know, it seemed like the dump trucks, whether they're loaded or not, I just got a little bad feeling about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion, comments? All right, let's go to the board and vote. Ten yes, 3 no. Motion passes. That was all from public hearing.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, sir.
Next, we'll go to item 5A, the Animal Shelter Advisory Committee update.
Got two issues there. You've got the resolution creating that committee, and then you've got a review being handled by
I guess the first one, we probably need to take do the HR second, I guess, if we got a resolution that we need to finalize. Yeah.
Anderson County Animal Care Advisory Committee. It's been passed around since last night, and I've got a couple of comments on it, but I haven't been able to get the mayor's comments on it, and I'm very concerned about that. I know she's been extremely busy today, like all of us. And Terry, have you had a chance to even look at it? Or do you need more?
I've read it, I haven't fully reviewed it.
Do you need more time?
No, they're welcome to pass
Okay.
it, and I can always put something in mind.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Anyway, any questions about it? It sets up the panel you've already nominated and approved. There's 9 members on that panel, and it also, basically, the first section is talking about the meetings and selection of a chair. You must have a quorum. Every measure has to pass by 5 votes, a majority. It does allow proxy votes if you have that permission in writing. Everything that, and I think the most important feature of this is that everything that comes out of this committee has to be sent to the mayor. This is a department that's under the operation and authority of the mayor and a director of animal control and care. I think that's proper. The mayor has time limits in here, 45 days to address that. She can address it or reject it or refuse to act on it. At that point, it comes to county commission. Just for your information, you have no authority whatsoever to circumvent the power of the mayor, supplant the power of the mayor in this, and take over the operation of that department. So it's really a true advisory committee. It's to help the mayor. It's to help the director. I think there's numerous provisions in here that talks about assisting the mayor, assisting the director of the animal control and care unit. So that's what it's got. It's got a lot of different things, and the best thing I like about it is it's flexible. The actual committee can expand the goals, can expand the objectives, and that's what we want. You have to be able to do that in order to keep up with the new issues that may be arising, and I'm sure I didn't cover everything in here, but just a few of them that's in here that some of the primary goals and objectives would be humane care, to make sure we're giving humane care to all animals. We want to strive to have a no-kill designation. We want to revamp the adoption process and have adoption standards. We had some complaints about some animals were labeled as neutered, spayed, and they actually weren't. Operational policies and procedures, and that's something we really want to see there, is the creation of personnel policies and operational policies there for this department. Make sure there's medical care and to monitor the medical care in the facilities for necessary treatment. Also to assist the county veterinarian, and that is a position that will be appointed by the mayor and will be confirmed by Anderson County Board of Commissioners at some point in the future. They do inspect the shelter conditions for cleanliness and sanitary conditions at all times. I've got a provision in here to create programs designed to improve the community reputation of the shelter. They're going to be involved in assisting on designing our new shelter, and as you know, the mayor's worked hard to get a piece of land. I've helped her with that lease. It's under lease already from the city of Clinton, so as soon as she's looking at some grants first, we'll start building that new shelter, and that'll help a lot. I think one of the things that they found out through this review process is there's a lot of people working in close quarters down there. There's just not enough space and just not enough staff members. Also, networking opportunities. This is where they'll work with other area shelters, get best practices and things of that nature, work with rescue groups, assist with personnel decisions. That's only when requested, when the mayor asks for that. Legal compliance, they'll monitor all the licenses and the applicable state and federal laws. Dispute resolution, and this is a new area that when we get a complaint about the operation of the shelter, this body will hear that complaint, make recommendations to the mayor to determine how we're going to deal with that complaint. At least it gives a mechanism and a forum to anyone that's not satisfied with the operation of the shelter to come forward, make a complaint. There's going to be a process that's going to be readily defined with forms, and somebody neutral will hear that and make a recommendation to the mayor. and the director. We're going to work on programs for out-of-state adoptions, and I think you recall how successful some of our trips up north were to take some of our dogs to be rescued in northern cities. We're going to have this body will also look at the donations, develop a system for solicitation, receipt, accounting, and auditing of these donations. Social media, we had a few complaints about social media. They'll enlarge the social media platform in a fair, efficient, and functional manner. The shelter website is something I've been an advocate of, and I know the mayor and I have been looking at that since last fall, an actual dedicated website, so we don't have so much of this give and take on the Facebook side of it. Volunteer programs, we want to create a program to improve the shelter with volunteers, but first we're going to ask them to complete an application. There'll be a vetting, a screening process, and then a selection process before they'll be sent to the mayor. Assist with the budget preparations when requested by the mayor, reporting employee or volunteer concerns, orientation program, and we think this is vital, is to bring new employees and to bring new volunteers and tell them exactly how things have to be done. I think that's vital. A lot of people just kind of learn on their own down there. Required communications, they are required at all times to communicate their concerns, their ideas, the recommendations to the mayor and the director of animal control and care, and also to the county legislative body. All their minutes will be taken, and they'll be sent to you monthly or whenever they have a meeting, so you can review what's going on and be up to date on the issues that are at hand there. Develop the future goals, and as I said before, we want this, there'll be things, this is an ever-evolving issue. There'll be additional objectives and additional goals over time. And any additional duties that the mayor or the director sees fit for this body. But that's it basically in a nutshell. It's a flexible program that we can add to it along the way. We can correct it, edit it when things aren't working out, but I think it's going to be a good document to get started with. Any questions on this document?
Got a motion on the floor to approve by Commissioner Fritz, seconded by Commissioner Wandell. Commissioner Yeager.
From what I recall, or maybe misrecall, when we did the nominations, I kind of thought that we had done 6 members of the public. I don't remember breaking them down 2-2-2, and I'm just.
They turned out that way.
Targets,
they turned out that way.
Okay,
the
so
way
we
you
did
targeted.
hit the target,
Yep.
but, okay.
Commissioner Fritz was looking at that and the way it fell in hand. You've got members that are associated with rescue groups, members that are associated. You've got Joe and Stephen that have the professional and educational experience there. They qualify in that. The other ones is rescue groups. You've got people that are involved in the connection with the rescue group, so it all fell together there.
Okay, it looked like that's how it wound up, but I
Yes.
didn't remember it doing that way. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on the resolution? Commissioner Wandell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Another item I saw in there, Jay, was the possibility of looking at the group, helping with, if we get to that point in the future, of a new shelter.
Yes, sir.
So
Yeah, I think that's very important. When you build a new facility like that, and it's kind of like building a jail, you have to look at the operational flow. And there's an intake area, there's a medical area, there's a screening area. And these people have that background, a lot of them do. We've got some really good members on this committee, and as you recall, there's a provision in there that requires them to go out and network with other shelters and other professionals in this area. And hopefully when we get to that point and start building that new shelter, we can set it up so there's a good flow of the work as it comes in. Everybody knows what's going on.
Commissioner Fritz.
I just want to say, that since the nominating committee selected the members to serve on this committee, we've got an outstanding group of people that's going to work with this, and
Sure
I
did.
think it's all going to fall together once we get going and meeting and everything, and I'm excited where this is going to go, not only where we're at now, but even to the new facility when it is built.
I think you're exactly right. We got some fantastic members of this committee, highly professional and very passionate about animal care.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, are we gonna, is there gonna be a
A motion from the nominating committee to approve those members?
They already, you
We
already
did that
have.
last month.
Oh, we did do that,
Yeah.
okay.
We've even got the commissioners in place. I think we've got the whole body together.
All right, let's go to the board and vote.
Mr. Chairman, this is past
The resolution.
the resolution and the bylaws together, is that?
It's just a resolution, sir. There's no bylaws written.
Oh, okay.
Motion passes.
That's all I have on this issue. Go ahead, sir.
We need to set a date and time for an organizational meeting of the committee, and I'd like to do that as soon as possible, and I would recommend August 2nd, 4 o'clock.
August 2nd, 4 o'clock, sir.
Yes. In this room.
That's Tuesday, August 2nd, right?
Yes, Tuesday, August 2nd.
4 p.m.
4 p.m.
Is that a motion to
Yeah,
set that
I'll
as a
just-
meeting? Seconded by Commissioner Scott. There's a couple people, Mr. Newby, Joe, does that sound good?
Joe's a very busy man these days.
The only problem is that for some of us do work. I mean, I work until 5, so I wouldn't be able to get here at 4.
Make it 6. 6 o'clock, then.
Is that better?
I can do 6.
Tuesday at 6, okay.
Okay.
Is that, are you okay with that for your motion?
Absolutely.
6 o'clock?
Yep, yep.
I
Commissioner
know
Scott?
the old committee used to meet at 4 o'clock, so.
Not waving you down, Josh.
Wait a minute, sorry. What's that?
The fire commission meets at 6:30 in this room.
What about 118?
No, it should be available.
Downstairs in 118A.
118A.
Yeah.
Great room.
Any other discussion? All right, let's go to the board and vote. Motion passes.
Thank you for your support. Do you want to hear an update on the review?
Please,
Kim, if you'll
yeah, we
handle
can.
that for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. So just briefly, today we actually pulled all of our documentation together, set meetings for us to meet with the mayor to discuss, to be able to close the review. So it is being closed. The co-complainants as well as respondents have also been notified. And according to policy, they'll have 5 days to submit any further documentation. And at that point, everything will be, it is being handed over to the mayor this week. Okay, so I would ask that you give her time. We have condensed it, but it's still around 750 to 800 pages. It's a lot. So I would ask that you give her time to review that. Okay. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right. If not, we will, Ryan, sorry, Ryan.
I wanted to give an update on the shelter with the internet and the orders for the equipment. The order has been given to finance. It is in the process of working its way to you all for the routers and the switches needed for the facility. So you all should have that within a couple of weeks. And just wanted to give that as an update. The lines have been ordered. We're waiting on AT&T for installation, but as I said, it's in process.
Thank you. Commissioner Wandell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Brian, appreciate you working on this. I guess my question is, how will this, are you going to be how will this IT stuff, internet, websites, social media, how will this all work? I mean, it was all done in-house, I guess, by that department before. Is that still the same process the way you see it, or is that something that you would hope the committee would talk about when we have our meetings?
That sounds like something that would be in front of that committee to discuss. As far as each independent department's websites, that's their own department, but as far as any assistance I can garner for them, I'm glad to help and do. But generally, the websites are controlled by the independent office. There is a myriad of different kinds of sites due to different types of departments, but I'll be glad to assist in any way. If the committee reaches out for any kind of correspondence, I'll be glad to assist.
Thank you. Take any advice you have, recommendations as we move forward, and we'll bring it up at the meeting on August 2nd. So
Absolutely.
anything you got, I'd appreciate it.
If you think I'd probably be good, I'll show up with you all. Sounds like a plan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Any further questions on that?
Commissioner Fritz.
I was just going to state, that for the folks who don't really know who this gentleman is, he does he goes all out when it comes to IT and all this other stuff. So what he's doing out there and what he's going to put in out there is going to be top quality. So it's going to take a little bit of time to get there, but he's going to get us there.
Yeah, we just finished our fiscal budget year as well, so going into a new budget, we have new budget years, and the money for that is now, like I said, approaching you all for approvals, so go from there. Thank you, Commissioner Fritz.
Thank you, Brian.
Right, we'll move on to item 6, committee reports. Purchasing report by Robbie Holbrook, Finance Director. It'll be 6A. We'll do it right after Robbie.
All right, on the purchasing report, there was one contract approved by the law director, Miller Legal Partners. It's a retention agreement for legal services. The county commission authorized Chairman Anderson and Jay Yeager, law director, to seek outside counsel in the Harbor case.
Motion by Commissioner Yeager, seconded by Commissioner Fritz. Any discussion? Let's go to the board and vote.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I wanted to ask the mayor a question before we took the vote, and get her opinion. But since we're in the vote, I'll go ahead and vote, I guess.
Oh.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Do you want to go ahead now?
Sure. Mayor, I just apologize, I didn't get to my button quick enough. I wanted to ask your opinion on this request here to hire outside legal services for our law director and the Board of Commissioners.
I guess my only opinion on this is, I don't really know the rules for attorneys, so it's a gray area for me. This is the same law firm that is representing the county in the malpractice, so I don't know if that makes it a natural choice or if that creates a conflict. And so those are things that I haven't spoken to Jay about, but that would be my only 2 cents.
Yes. Thank you.
I did reach out to Tom Montgomery regarding all of the conflict issues with regard to Taylor and Knight because of those malpractice suits. And Tom did send Jay and I a list. There are very few cases that are still outstanding that are actually with Taylor and Knight. And so I think they are working on some draft waivers, and then Jay and I plan to review those with, together, and then we would present anything that's necessary to commission.
Thank you for the update, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Okay, moving on to the Budget Committee report. The cash and fund balance report for ending June 30th, 2022. Restricted funds for the general fund are $967,726. Committed funds, $1.6 million. Assigned funds, $3.1 million. Unassigned fund balance is $6.9 million, with a total fund balance of $12,778,790, and cash at $17,596,226. Any questions? All righty. Sales tax report. For May, the county as a whole received $4,029,877. That's down 7% from last May. Anderson County's portion was $512,950, which is also down from last June, which was $615,000.
Commissioner Wandell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Robbie, I apologize. Going back, the numbers you reported on the undesignated fund balance and the other balances, is that year-end numbers?
No, because we won't close year end till August 15th, so those will grow. But we're still collecting state revenues for another month, so we have to wait till then, till we can close out the year.
In August, will you be able to report to the board that this is the year-end numbers?
Probably not till September.
Okay.
With the meeting being early in August, I don't think they'll be ready till September.
And those will be obviously the general local, what about, does the schools give you something as well from theirs?
Yes, it's also on here. Their fund balance there is 10.7 million, cash 16.9 million.
Okay.
Every fund's on this cash and fund balance report. I just usually report out on the general fund.
Yeah, I'm looking in, it must be attached on a separate one. I can't find it, my mistake.
It's in the
Sorry.
email, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, for budget amendments, Group 4 appropriations, there were 6 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 9. Seeking approval as a group or individually, or I can answer any questions.
Motion to approve as a group by Commissioner Fritz, seconded by Commissioner Meredith. Any discussion? Let's go to the board and vote. Twelve yes, 1 no. Motion passes.
Okay, Group 5 transfers, non-school, there was one, number 8, for $9,837 for the BOCA grant.
Motion by Commissioner Fritz, seconded by Commissioner Scott. Any discussion? Let's go to the board and vote. Thirteen yes, motion passes.
Okay, in Group 6 appropriations, there were 2 of them, number 6 and 10, one for $3,000 and the other for $12,500. This, which will contribute to the rescue squad for their work at the fires and gas contributions.
Motion by Commissioner Fritz, seconded by Commissioner Mead to approve. Any discussion? All right, let's go to the board and vote. Motion passes.
Thank you. Under Group 7 miscellaneous, the first was an EMA grant opportunity, which we passed under Group 4 appropriations. They had a 50-50 match for a $100,000 grant. There was no action and no new business. Under C, the rescue squad donation, which we covered under Group 6 appropriations, and also a drug court request that the motion failed. So that's all I have for the Budget Committee report.
Motion by Commissioner Mead.
There's no,
There's no action on that. Okay.
But the grant opportunity.
we passed that under,
Already passed.
yes, sir, under Group 4. Sorry.
Any other questions for Robbie? Commissioner Fritz.
I know the federal government has stopped the funding of meals for our kids in the schools, but under the present situation, we are still able to provide lunches and everything for all the kids in all the schools throughout Anderson County except for 2, and that is Norris Elementary and Anderson County High School. I'd like to ask the commission to forward this to the Budget Committee. And let's look to see what, if there's any way we could look at helping the kids at those final 2 schools who's not going to have the opportunity to have free lunches. Because that's one thing I have a passion for, and I know my wife has a passion for, is making sure every kid has food to eat, and even to take food home for the weekend, so they can have food to have over the weekend. But I'd like to send this to the Budget Committee to see, what we can do maybe to try to help these two schools. The reason these two schools are not in there, they didn't meet the criteria for the reduced or free lunch quota. And I know this is not my district, but still, it's kids that missing out on food and free, lunches. Pardon?
What kind of money are you talking about?
I think, what, you said about 80,000 for Norris alone.
Both schools for the year?
Just Norris Elementary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Did you want to make that as a,
For a motion to defer to the budget.
as a motion to refer to budget? We got a motion by Commissioner Fritz. Do we have a second? We got a second by Commissioner White. We can do a voice vote on this so we don't mess up, because I want to come back to Commissioner Yeager. All those in favor of referring this to Budget Committee, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, Commissioner Yeager.
No.
You good? You done?
They can clear this board.
Yeah, we can clear the board now.
Okay, there's no more questions. That's all I have tonight. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Have a good evening. 6A, the Operations Committee, Chairman Isabel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Wandell made a motion that Anderson County Commission fully supports the construction of Clinton High School Lady Dragon softball field for the full commission for approval and to forward to the city of Clinton School Board and anyone else involved. Seconded by Commissioner McCamey. Motion passed unanimously.
Motion by Commissioner Yeager, seconded by Commissioner Scott. Any discussion? Let's go to the board and vote.
I have a quick
Oh,
question.
go ahead.
Does anyone know about how long it's gonna take to build this field? There's stuff growing on the dirt out there.
As long as there's a lawsuit, we can't do anything.
Seriously.
We're trying our best to get that taken care of, but it's a long process. Keeps me up at night.
How long has that school been there?
Since 1969. We actually had a softball field there years ago. When we built the 92 edition, they had to tear it down.
Oh, sorry. So in 1992, they had to rip up the field.
Yes,
There
yes.
was a field where they're building the field.
No, there was a field down on the other end. When they built the 92 edition, which would have been the math and English wing, they had to tear the field down, so they've not had one there. So the girls have been playing at Lakefront Park, which is and we have a good partnership with the city, but it's a city field, you know what I'm saying? So it's used by everybody. So what we're trying to do is make sure that the girls at Anderson County and Clinton both have the same facility. So that's where we're at. We're in a lawsuit with a neighbor there, Mr. Worthington. And so the city council did pass, they approved the site plan last month. It's been appealed to the Board of Zoning Appeals. They'll either take that up on the August 8th meeting, or they may send it straight to the courts. We don't know, but we have our lawyers working on that. So we want to get that field built as fast as we can, but we're in a holding pattern. I've been charged with contempt of court because we have still been working on it. CUB was putting in the sewer and the water, and I guess that was my fault, but we're just trying to get it built.
Out of curiosity, how long has the neighbor been there?
We bought that land in April of 2009, and he bought from Mr. Patterson, and he bought the house from Mr. Patterson, I think sometime later in that year.
Oh, so he knew he was next door to a high school?
Yes.
All right, well, cool.
Commissioner
It's too
McCamey.
bad
Tim,
these kids have to suffer
any
from
idea
it.
on when this will get to court?
No, it's in Chancery Court with Ms. Cantrell, Chancellor Cantrell, I guess that's what you got, yeah. And so, no, we don't have a court date yet. I think they're trying to we have tried to work out resolutions to try to come to an agreement, but the resolutions that they want, it considers moving the field to the other side of the field, and we can't do that because the way the creek goes through there, we have to have enough room for the softball field and a band practice field. And if we move the field to the other side, you can't have a band practice field, it's not wide enough. Or you have to go back into the bank, it just doesn't work right. So the way we've got it set it up, and we're within the city codes, everybody that has said we're within those codes. We want to be a good neighbor to Mr. Worthington. The lights, when they come on, they weren't adjusted, and they lit his property up. And ever since that, about a week after that, we've been trying to get that fixed, but that was when the lawsuit was filed and the stop work order. And we went through the city of Clinton, they said it wasn't us, and we came back to the county and went through their planning. The planning at the county said, well, no, it's not us, we can't approve it in a municipality, so we went back to the city. And then so last week was when they approved our site plan. So again, they have appealed that ruling, so the next thing is to go back, I guess, before the Board of Zoning Appeals with the city.
I appreciate you taking the time to give us a little bit of background.
Yep.
I've had people in Oak Ridge asking what's going on with that,
Yep.
which is why I asked.
Yep.
So thank you very much, though.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go, Commissioner Wendell.
Mr. Chairman, are we voting on the resolution or just the motion from the Operations Committee?
The operations motion, right, the endorsement.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I guess I should vote?
Jerry.
Tell me what the motion is.
This a motion
I'm still
from.
on the softball field.
It's from
is
that.
for the
It's
softball field.
county. It's a motion from County Commission.
What now?
It's a motion from Operations Committee recommending the commission endorse the softball field plan. Motion passes.
Commissioner Yeager made a motion to approve the interlocal agreement with Norris for bike repair stands, seconded by Commissioner Meredith. Motion passed forward to full commission for approval.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Let's go to the board and vote. Motion passes.
Commissioner Yeager made a motion to approve the Sheriff Stepping Up Initiative and Detention Facility Accreditation, seconded by Commissioner Anderson. Motion passed forward to full commission for approval.
Motion by Commissioner McCamey, seconded by Commissioner Yeager. Any discussion? Let's go to the board and vote. Motion passes.
That concludes the Operations Committee report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Isbell. All right, next we've got Director of Schools, no report, but any questions for Commissioner Scott?
Why don't you explain this?
I was asked about some needs that the county school had, and back, actually in November, I was asked, and when our students go to TCAT, there's still, even though they're, all the tuition is paid for, there's still some things that they need, which tools and things like that. So we had sent out a letter, Mr. Myers and us sent out a letter back in November asking if somebody could help with those things when the students have that. And that's what it is tonight, just kind of going back through that and asking if there's any funding that could be used for that for the students.
So I've kind of passed the letter to him, hoping that he'd be able to give you some of the figures.
Oh,
The students are needing funds for materials for educational tools. This is whether it's cosmetology or diesel mechanics. Kind of like when I was talking to you guys about Blue Oval coming into Tennessee. this is gonna help those kids get into bigger and broader areas of being, you know, working on hand or with their hands. So they need funds, for, whether it's transportation for field trips or equipment for their education and so forth. Dr. Parrott had put this letter in my mailbox back in November of last year, and I apologize wholeheartedly, and most of it is due to COVID, and from me staying away from the courthouse itself during the COVID period. But I was parting with some paperwork and came across it and went, uh-oh. So, I'm asking anyone that wants to put funds from their waste management funds, you can apply this to that. I'm going to give the letter to Annette, and all I ask is that you simply put your John Hancock on it and how much you want to apply towards it. And we'll ask her to have it for us in August to be approved. But sorry, I wanted to express my apologies for the delay in getting it off to commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Mead.
Yeah, what's the urgency on this particular funding? I mean, is next month okay, or is it
Yes,
something that's
yes,
come right up?
that's
Okay,
fine.
good. Thank
That's
you.
fine. We will have a new group, of students that start, and what they are, they're dual enrollment students, so they're still high school students, so they'll be going to the new TCAT in our industrial park. They can take welding, diesel, they can take everything right there, but they still have to, grant that they get, it doesn't include tools or things like that. And we'll give them some tools or welding helmet or what they need, but this way they can buy the equipment they need and they can go out on the job.
It's kind of like a welder. A welder needs their own helmet, their own gloves. It's not something that, it's not like going to a bowling alley and just using one of the balls. I'm encouraging this simply because it's a future. You know, we're trying to get these kids out of school and give them a goal of someplace to go. So, thanks.
Too, just one note, if you get a chance, if you go out and maybe to Norris Elementary School or Norris Middle School or Lake City Elementary or down to Norwood, you get a chance, go in and look at the progress we're making with our ESG project, and all that funds was through our ESSER funds. And it just looks great. New windows, new painting, a lot of new heat and air units are going in. All the walls at Norris are all being pulled out, so they'll be a lot safer and things like that. So just a lot of great things going on. We've hired a lot of new people this summer. We still got a few schools that still need a teacher or two. If you've got somebody out there that's a good teacher, send them our way.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Questions?
We'll have a report back next month too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Dr. Parrott.
Next, we got no report from Mayor Frank. Any questions for Mayor Frank? Commissioner Wendell.
Do you have something, Mayor? I didn't want to cut you off.
The only thing I was going to report on was, I believe last month, you asked me to check with TDEC on the American Nuclear and if we had some dates yet for the workshop. And I did reach out, and they said to relay that they're still actively talking with EPA and then also with one of the contractors to leverage some assistance, and that we would have a date in the very near future if we could just hold on for a few more weeks. And then they would send those potential dates.
Thanks, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely.
I did have a question, though.
Oh, go ahead.
Mayor, we passed, I think, 23,000 and some change for the air conditioning units at the senior center. I've got a few complaints about the air being out. You have any updates by chance on that? And I also want to know how that works. I mean, if we approve the funding, how long does it take for it to actually go to action to get the air for the seniors?
Well, those we actually had quotes in advance, so we have purchasing limits. You have limits that involve quotes, and then you also have limits that trigger a bid. And in this particular case, we were required to bid, but because it was an emergency scenario, we did what was allowed. We could proceed with that, but we still had to have quotes, and then we still had to have funding. By the time we got the funding, we actually lost the air units that were there and available. We did look in other locations to see if we could even get somewhere else, and it's essentially those units, it's going to be August. So we're still in a holding pattern on those. I did discuss with Robbie, because of the supply chain issues that we're seeing out there with HVAC. I would encourage you to ask around about this. There are some serious issues going on in the HVAC world right now. I did ask him, can we go ahead and perhaps get quotes or go to bid on the other 2 units that are older, even though they're okay and running, in case something happens, we already have something lined up and in place. So Robbie thought that was an excellent idea, and we're proceeding with that as well, so that this does not happen where we're caught flat-footed if those other 2 that are working overtime go down. So
there's,
we're hoping to get these in advance, but at the latest, I mean, we talked to our regular contractor. It's August when they're expected in.
so is the air just one unit down, or is all the air out?
There's one that's completely, it needs a new compressor, but given the age, so it's completely dead, and one's only barely functioning. I mean, it's subpar functioning.
So we got the money in place, we're just waiting to find,
We've already got the equipment ordered and everything. We're just waiting for them to arrive.
all right, thanks for the update, I appreciate it.
Yes. And then if you want to come to my house and watch the tree events, I had yet another tree last night. So if you lived in the city of Clinton, Frank's put you out of power for about 2 hours. Yeah, it was a giant fireball like I've never seen. A branch was in the line, and it shocked our house and rattled the vents. And we went to the window, went to the door, what's going on? We watched a fireball. We watched a second fireball. Then we watched what looked like a missile attack. And when that one happened, then we hear 3 to 4 massive cracks, and a tree just comes down and shuts the whole Food City, our house, the whole street. Tim Shelton is a neighbor a few houses down. He called, said his wife called. He was headed to church, and is your power out? And I was like, yeah. And he said, well, do you know what's going on? And I said, oh, yeah, we just watched that, and you're going to be out a while. So thank you to City of Clinton and CUB, and they got the wood out of the line, but we still got a tree to deal with, so anyhow.
And the power was only out 2 hours?
Yes, I mean, those men are absolutely incredible.
That is an amazing recovery.
Yes, and I don't know, I mean, just for the whole city of Clinton, I don't know other parts of the county. We did have some courthouse damage. I know Commissioner Wandell reached out about that. We had a hit on the back of the Jolly building, where it just a direct hit and took some panels out. Then just right over the ridge, you've probably seen right down the street, a major tree was split from that event. Then John's Tire Service took a direct hit, about $20,000 in damage. And then it just went straight down, got our house. If you drive around down by Ridgeview, everywhere you go, there are trees down, and they're continuing to come down. So I guess we had some major wind event here, and it rocked a lot of trees and their roots, and I just pray that nothing else comes down. So.
Commissioner Fritz.
Basically, two questions. We're getting anywhere close to the grant director?
Robbie and I talked about that today with Randy. We are probably going to run another round of ads and maybe even, we haven't fully decided, maybe even ask another department to contribute some funds or something and maybe give a wider range because we're not getting anyone with grant experience. So that's one of the challenges. There are some good candidates, but they don't have any actual real either audit, from the audit side of grants, grant writing, grant management. We're just getting people with skills. And so we really would like to get someone with that grant experience. It may take bumping that salary up a little bit.
Next question, do you feel optimistic in finding a veterinarian who's going to take that position?
I think when we went to bid, Catherine got no responses. She did get one that was after, I guess after the deadline. She said when she came back from her time off that it was there. We'll probably maybe get this committee running. I think with a lot of the negative publicity, a lot of the veterinarians maybe have not wanted to get involved while you still have an outstanding HR investigation and some of these issues under review. So we'll probably try that once again.
And then my last question, you think there might be a possibility of bringing forward the budget committee next month, the items that we discussed in our last meeting with the funding from the state? We looked at all the different projects, and so we can start taking action on what we want to do.
Oh, the ones that were really already normally part of, yes, we have planned to do that coming out of that ARPA workshop. The next steps, Robbie and Randy and I actually spoke about that today. So, yes.
Great.
Yes, we're going to do that.
Commissioner McCain.
You said you sent out bids for the veterinarian director?
Well, we posted a request for proposals. So, yes, I mean, they had to submit that they would be able to provide first of all, we don't know how much something like that would cost. So it's not necessarily a bid per se, but it is a request for someone to propose to visit the shelter and then also to review policies and procedures.
Wouldn't that be considered professional services and not require any type of proposal or bid? Just check with individuals. I'm sure that
yeah.
we could check.
Yes,
with them.
I could do that. Catherine did say it was considered professional services after, I guess, the day she did the opening and there were no responses. I had only gone that avenue for transparency and to give assurance to the public that I was accepting bids from anyone who wanted to submit them. Yeah. So that was my intent, was to avoid any appearance of, oh, I'm picking the one that that I wanted and didn't give someone else a chance. And so that's why I was going through purchasing to give purchasing control over posting that, distributing to the veterinarians, doing whatever they need to do without my direct involvement.
Well, it's something that I think we need, and I would just take the proposal and talk to some individuals about it and go ahead and hire one that will accept that position without, having them to submit a proposal. Just find out what it would cost and come back to us.
Okay. Thank you all.
We'll do the law director report. Jay Yeager.
Really quick, spare time. Just a couple things I wanted to check with you. Did you, you passed the resolutions on the Clinton softball field? I heard you pass the motion. It sounded like you were distinguishing those two, but motion in support of Clinton girls softball. You've got a resolution also. I take it that's in that same motion?
I think that's coming up now, right? Motion by Commissioner Wandell to approve the resolution, seconded by Commissioner Meredith.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, can I read that motion
Yes.
real quick?
Go
Would that be
ahead.
okay? Thank you. Open up my phone here where I can see.
You need a hard copy, sir?
Yeah, you got one handy
Yes, sir.
there? That'd be handy.
That's always better.
Yeah, you push the buttons on them screens, stuff pop up, somebody's calling you, whatever. Thank you, Jay, appreciate it. The law director put this together. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to read it. Anderson County, Tennessee Board of Commissioners Resolution Number 2022-07-941. Resolution in support of the Clinton High School girls softball program and respectfully requesting all parties to the current litigation to resolve their differences in a respectful and amicable manner, focusing on the best interests of our community and the Lady Dragon softball team. Whereas the Clinton High School's girls softball team has been without a dedicated playing field and training facility for over a decade. And whereas the Anderson County school system is ready and financially able to construct a new field, training facility, and parking lot adjacent to the northeast side of the campus. And whereas a disagreement with a single neighbor regarding this positioning of the field and the lights has resulted in an unfortunate lawsuit between the neighbor, the City of Clinton, and the Anderson County school system. And whereas efforts to avoid this lawsuit have been unsuccessful and the field construction has been stopped by judicial action. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Anderson County Board of Commissioners meeting regular session this 18th day of July 2022 that we respectfully appeal to all parties involved in this lawsuit to reach a mutual and amicable solution to the litigation so that we can construction can reconvene on the much-needed softball field. Without a successful resolution to this disagreement among adults, the only Lady Dragon softball team will suffer. We call on all parties to immediately put the interests of the youth and our community first and foremost. Resolved, duly passed and effective this 18th day of July 2022. Mayor, Chairman Anderson, and Jeff Cole, it'll need their signatures. Thank you, Jay.
Sir.
Any other discussion on resolution? Let's go to the board and vote. Motion passes.
Okay. I'll draw your attention to our contract approvals. The last one does not need county commission approval, but I want to tell you about it. It's the Sro Pilot Program. This is a collaborative approach by the school system and the sheriff's office to put more SROs in our schools and also more experienced officers than what we've been able to come up with new hires to go straight to SROs. This will make it more attractive for your retired officer, for your older officer that doesn't want to work shift work. They can still retain their full-time benefits, work full-time, their same salary, but they'll have off a few weeks during the summer where they will not have to come in, whereas our current program requires them to go back to patrol and work. We believe we're going to get a lot more experienced SROs to work this. It also gives them 2 weeks in advance of the school year to do security surveys. And I think that's important instead of starting on day one, trying to figure out what all their school system needs to better protect our kids. But I wanted to let you know it's a one-year program. We're going to take a look at it, see how it works. If it doesn't work, if we're not able to draw the experienced officers back out here to take these positions or have some of our older officers, veteran officers, take these positions, then we'll look at it again. But we're going to try it for a year and see how it works. But thanks to the sheriff's office, certainly Chief Galloway and Dr. Parrott and Greg Deal, they've been instrumental in getting that completed. Let's see, the lawsuit update, I think the mayor did an excellent job there. What we're going to do in the future is,
Excuse me,
yes, ma'am.
do we need a motion?
No, no, it does not need approval. What we're going to do on the conflicts issues, there'll be a conflicts form. Tom Montgomery's trying to devise that right now, and before Taylor Knight can continue to work on those cases, we'll have to get conflicts from any defendant in the county that's been named, whether it be an individual, like an individual sheriff's deputy, or the sheriff, or whatever the case may be, or county commission. They'll have to get conflicts waivers on that. And this goes along with your motion from last month. And during the time of the pendency of these lawsuits, then he's going to sign them to other attorneys and not that Taylor Knight law firm. But that's how that's going to work. Taking care of that, taking care of the I've got the Emergency Management Services Medical Director contract. I'm going to hold that until Nathan can make some changes there and get some of that squared away. We do not need approval on that tonight. I do want to mention to you the Detention Facility Accreditation Authority to commence that Stepping Up initiative. I believe that was approved. We do have a resolution. Thank you, Tim. That's very important. The Stepping Up initiative helps us identify inmates that may have mental health disorders that are in the jail. As you've heard me mention, once Lakeshore closed and our other regional facilities, Green Valley, guess where these people are ending up? They're ending up in our local jails. And this is becoming a real problem across the state, not just us. And they need help. A lot of them just need medication. And we're going to try to help these people, and we're going to monitor and get data on exactly what's coming in and try to develop programs along with our Alternatives to Incarceration program to assist these people, get them back in some programs, get them some treatment, and hopefully they will not come back. This is contributing to our recidivism rate in our jail, and that, again, is another problem. But anyway, I also wanted to tell you about this accreditation program that the sheriff has put forward for the detention facility. There's a lot of benefits that are coming out of that, but the one benefit I think we all will like, it's going to add over $3 per inmate per day to our board bill. So that's all new revenue, and you know we get a lot of revenue from the state from handling housing those state inmates. I don't believe, you got approval on that in operations, but I wanted to mention that to you. You've handled the animal care. The last thing I have is the Hidden Hills Drive. I need permission and authority for you to institute foreclosure action. We've got a lot out there that was, at one time, there was a house on it. It's in a residential neighborhood, and I think you all know where Hidden Hills subdivision is. It's a very nice area of the county. The house, two sisters lived there at one time, and it was burnt down. It was an arson case. The sheriff's office investigated it, was unable to make charges. One of the sisters just left the area, and we're not been able to track her down. This is 4 or 5 years ago. Well, of course, the property became blighted. County had to step in a property maintenance code violation. We got a default judgment on that. We got it cleaned up in the neighborhood. There was all kinds of problems with it. We then put a lien on the property. We cannot locate the owners. We publicized this in the paper. So I'm asking permission to sell this property at auction on the courthouse steps in a foreclosure action and get that money back in the county coffers, replenish that fund that the mayor and Danny and Marjorie used to clean up some of these properties. And well, we need that. We've got a lot of people that are interested in this property. I think I get a call at least once or twice a month. So hopefully we can get a good price out of it and at least cover our lien. Any questions on that? Okay, I do need approval on that.
Motion by Commissioner Fritz, seconded by Commissioner Scott. Any discussion?
It's 1604 Hidden Hills Drive.
I was going to ask that.
Annette.
Everybody at home. How long, if with this, assuming this gets approved, how long would it be approximately before that would get?
Into September, we'll get it rolling.
September, okay. Any other discussion? Let's go to the board and vote. Twelve yes, 1 no. Motion passes.
That's all I have for you tonight. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you. Okay, we've already done Operations Committee. New business, Commissioner Fritz.
Before he gets going, I'd just like for everybody to remember our law director. He's got some problems he needs to work through, and
I do have problems.
but medical health issues that he needs to work out, and but just he's been a trooper this past couple of weeks trying to get stuff to us even tonight, and I appreciate what he's done, and just remember him, if you will.
Thank you. Any new business? Commissioner Fritz.
I'm just going to alert everyone so you'll be prepared for next month. I've already met with the principal at Claxton Elementary School and the librarian at Claxton Elementary School. Because I've got some funds in my waste management account that I want to use for a special reason. She's going to be presenting that letter to us, and I told them to be putting together what they're going to use it for. But I'm going to start telling my age now. I was the last 8th grade class to attend Claxton Elementary School. And then all 3 of my kids went through Claxton Elementary School. So that school is near and dear to me. My wife, she enjoys reading. Reading has always been very important to her. And every time my kids were in school, she worked every book fair, did everything she could to make sure kids got books to read. And if she had to buy them herself, she'd help get the kids to read. And so what I'm going to be having them to do and present to the commission next month is a thing where I'm going to contribute my money, and then I'm going to add to it personal funds to make a major contribution to the Claxton Elementary School library. And I appreciate your support when it comes before us next month.
Thank you. Any other new business? Any old business? You settle that? All right.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
7:55. Go enjoy the fair.